Driving performance. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com.
Now, here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
Happy Thanksgiving. And welcome into Cowboys football. Another edition. This is fantastic, Broaddus, live at AT&T Stadium, where the Cowboys are on a 12-game heater, looking to make it a baker's dozen versus these Washington Commanders on a short week. The party's already rocking and rolling here at the Miller Lite West Plaza. If you're coming to the game, stop by, say hello. We'd love to see you. The gates are open, and Cowboys Nation is waiting for the doors to open. There's nothing better than a little Thanksgiving Cowboy football. Beautiful day here in Arlington. The roof will be closed, though. We already got that nailed. Welcome into the official pregame party of your Dallas Cowboys, and we're going to start things off going behind enemy lines as we welcome in our favorite Commanders guest.
Touchdown, Washington! Unbelievable!
Broaddus Broaddus' college teammate. They've been so close connecting before on this where Broaddus would be in the end zone. Broaddus told me he knew they would get it. They get it right here. Critical moment. Huge play. Okay, Joey.
This is a must extra point.
Okay, Joey.
Here's the snap. Hold, kick on its way. Good!
Woo!
We are tied with 52 seconds to go.
Julie Donaldson of the Washington broadcast team. Happy Thanksgiving. Julie, thank you so much, as always, for the time. I know you got a pregame show to get ready for as well. But I imagine, Julie, this is a nice time to have this short week after that Giants disaster on Sunday.
Oh, yes, we were really wanting to put that one behind us as quickly as we could. An absolute disaster. But here's the thing. This team, for some reason, plays up to good teams and the teams that they should absolutely dominate. Well, we have not this season, losing to the Giants twice and then to the Chicago Bears. So I'm expecting a tough contest today, but we know what we're in for. As you just mentioned, your Cowboys are pretty good here at home. By the way, I'm sorry we're not in person, but the weather's so nice. I heard you guys got a little break.
Well, we did get a little break there, JD, but I want to ask you this, too. Hey, the thing about it is I'm watching you guys, and you're absolutely, I think this is going to be a close game. I really, really do. But, Julie, why you guys don't run the ball? Why do you not even try to run the ball? I mean, to me, that seems like that might be the path for victory today for the Commanders.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because Eric Bieniemy himself was a former running backs coach, and here he is wanting to throw the ball more than any team in NFL history. And Sam would prefer a little bit more running. The running backs would prefer more running. The offensive line, as you know, they want to be able to run the ball as well, as that just helps set up the pass. But a lot of times they've been behind, and so they find themselves saying, okay, we have to throw the ball in order to catch up. When you pass the ball, you put up a lot of points. This offense is scoring a lot more points than it did last year, and they're putting up enough to win games. It's our defense that surprisingly has let us down. We'll see. Within the first 15, they always have run plays designed. It's a matter of if they are successful or not in order to stick with it. Of course, they view the screen game, the quick passes, as an extension of the run game as well. But Brian Robinson, I mean, Antonio Gibson's been dealing with an injury, but Brian Robinson showed, he can catch the ball. He's got some pretty good hands. He felt like slided coming out of college for that. So we'll look for him out of the backfield as well. But it's a question we all ask, and it's a question everybody's asking of EB. Can we please run the ball? He laughs it off. But I don't know. It's they're still trying to find, I think, their identity.
Yeah, I think, to me, coming off a short week, with both teams, if you're Eric and you're looking at the tape, Dallas clearly has had some issues, last week with some run defense stuff. And you're right about Brian Robinson. I mean, he's a guy that I fear. Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas, those guys, all really good players. And I'm thinking, why does this team not run the ball? I would worry if I was Eric about pass protection a little bit, and especially on the left side of your offensive line.
Well, that's been an issue. And obviously, look, our offensive line is what they are. And you're as good as the production that you're out there. And teams are finding, if they do the stunts and they bring the blitzes, they're having a certain amount of success until we prove we can stop it. And this team has not been able to do that yet. They're starting to grasp onto it, just not soon enough. 51 sacks for Sam Howell is not sustainable. He's on track to have the most sacks in NFL history at this pace. A lot of the sacks now he's taking, minus the last game against the Giants, a little differently. Before, he was just holding on to the ball too long, and trying to go through his reads. I think he's now using his check down a little bit better. The change for Tyler Larson at center really has helped him over Nick Gates being there early on in the year. But yeah, until this team proves that they can pass protect better and fit against that, that's what teams are going to run, and they're certainly anticipating that today against this defense.
Under 3 hours to kick off Behind Enemy Lines with Julie Donaldson of the Washington broadcast team. You mentioned Sam Howell. The entertainment factor is extremely high. I don't know if he's done enough to earn the gig for next season, but you get a little bit of everything with our guy Sam. It's fireworks, good and bad.
And when it comes down to that 2-minute drill, even really at times he's only needed 1 minute 36 seconds to lead you to a game-winning drive. I think the De'Ami Brown one was one right there at the end that we had that call early on. But he's really cool, calm, and collected. And this room, they have his respect, and they feed off of that. No matter if it's a mistake that he's having to come back from, like last week with so many interceptions, turning the ball over. He stays really calm, and that presence helps. Tyler Larson is really calm. That even helps Sam even more. So he's really electrifying. He can make all the throws, but he's still a young quarterback. And with a young quarterback, you're getting growth. But we see every single week, and many would say last week was a step back because it was an absolutely disastrous game. But we're seeing a lot of growth from him to be that guy for the future. Of course, there's a lot of questions on the future of everybody right now when you only have 4 wins on the season and you're expected to be much better than you're performing.
Julie, you moved on from Sweat and from Young in the pass rush, and in the first several weeks of the season, you guys were doing a great job of generating pass rush, but the last several weeks that hasn't been the case. Where are the Commanders going to try and generate pass rush from today against this Cowboy offense?
Right up the middle.
Yeah,
right up the middle is what they're hoping. John Allen,
go.
Deron Payne, 2 Pro Bowlers, first-round picks as well. Those players for some on the outside don't feel that they've been getting as the production or have been as effective on the game as they had last year. Deron Payne had 11.5 sacks for his position at the tackle. John Allen was able to get a sack last week as well. But, of course, the ends, when they play off of each other and they played within the scheme, all of them were having a certain amount of success. Of course, you trade away your 2 starting defensive ends, and then you bring in James Smith-Williams, and he's out with a hamstring, and then F.A. Obata ends up breaking his fibula and tibula, so they're really short. They're bringing in, they brought in this defensive end off of the street from Chicago. He's going to be out there probably getting, a good bit of work as well. You've got the young guys of Jones and KJ getting out there. They're going to get some time, but again, as you get with young players, they'll have their moments, good and bad. And there's a lot that comes with it because they're still thinking and processing. And at that position, if you're trying to get to the quarterback, by the time you think, forget it, it's gone. And a lot of teams have found a lot of success with really some quick passes that kind of helps elude the rush of that front defensive line. And that's just kind of what you get when you did have the line that this team had.
Behind Enemy Lines with Julie Donaldson of the Washington broadcast team. No Emmanuel Forbes today in the back end of that defense as well for the Commanders. How does that affect things?
I mean, he's been a young rookie that's growing as well. I mean, they were anticipating him coming in here and being a turnover machine. I mean, he had 6 pick sixes in college. That's one of the things this team really struggled with last year, was winning the turnover battle, especially in the back end. And at times he's been a liability, and at times he's had some great plays. There's been a lot of growth with him as well. They still look, we've got Kendall Fuller. He's that veteran guy that's out there. Benjamin St. Juste will coming on in, Danny Johnson. But this is where your depth is tested. And for a young quarterback, he did hurt his elbow, not going to be out there. This is a game, though, where you really kind of need everybody going up against, what this offense for the Cowboys, high-powered explosive plays, has the ability of doing. And explosive plays has been, a really the Achilles heel and a weakness of this this Washington team this season. So you don't want to be shorthanded. You really want everybody out there. But now you just have to look up to Danny Johnson coming in and stepping up.
Julie, there's been so many close games with the Commanders this year, and games where they've had opportunities to go for 2 to maybe win a football game. Has it been one of those tough times where you're like, Ron talks about, I had to do this because I was thinking about my team and this, that, and the other, and should there have been just more opportunities where he just said, the hell with it, we got to go win this game right now?
Yeah, there were a couple, early on too, and one of the reasons he said is that he felt the offense was kind of like they went for a really long drive, having to go the length of the field to get into that position, and he did not. I think a lot of it comes down to the analytics probably, sure. and analytics and how much it really factors into this game. A lot of, even just going for it on 4th down and the timeouts, that's right. All analytics coming into play. A lot of times folks have been clamoring, saying, use your gut, go for it, especially, right. If this offense has had their moments and they're getting hot, give them that opportunity. We've seen him in the past take it, but not this year, where we feel like that could have been the change of the game.
Right.
Well, Julie, happy Thanksgiving to you. We greatly appreciate your time, as always. Enjoy your stay, enjoy the game, and you can actually let the players know down there if you get a chance to chat with some of these Commander players before kickoff. Rest assured, there will be some hot shower opportunity after the game.
I wouldn't put it past you guys to take some form of a shot anytime. And I was just about to compliment you. I was saying it came up here,
Julie,
and for as much as we are,
you're right.
For as much as we're rivals, I said everybody's so hospitable, and then you give me a nice little jab. Fair enough. I had to talk to Sam Howell last week with an unshowered quarterback. I mean, it's rough. It's rough.
It is rough.
You continue to fight through adversity with the best of them, Julie. We love you and appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
There she goes, Julie Donaldson, Washington broadcast team. Look at this, kicking things off behind enemy lines on Thanksgiving, Broaddus. I feel like that's a first. That's a first. But Julie Donaldson will do anything for her.
She is a pros pro.
She's absolutely a pros pro. Welcome to AT&T Stadium. Cowboys Nation, come out early to the Miller Lite House, the pregame gathering destination on the West Plaza of the stadium. Miller Lite is the only beer of the Cowboys, and we invite all Cowboys fans to join us for a great tailgate event. Sample some great seltzer brands as well, like Vizzy Hard Seltzer, the official hard seltzer of the Dallas Cowboys. And the party's already rocking out here, Broaddus. A beautiful day, Thanksgiving, Miller Lite West Plaza is the place to be. Are you a little bit queasy because you see Green Bay storming into Detroit on a short week, division rival, and they're up 23-6 right now on these guys? Is this one of those games that you are slightly nervous about?
You know what, me personally, when we get to the predictions at the end, I think you're going to be surprised at what I'm going to say. But yeah, the way that the Cowboys play at home offensively is so impressive. You don't win all the number of games that they've won in a row by just rolling your helmet out there. You go out there, you execute well, you have a good game plan, you attack. These are all things that the Cowboys are capable of doing. The things I worry about on the other end is I do see some talent with the Commanders. The last couple of weeks, maybe really a lack of talent with the Giants. We saw how that was. Carolina last week, that game got within a one-score game, and then Dallas kind of pulled away because of your talent with Deron Bland, playing. But the one thing the Commanders do, and Julie's right, they're going to try and win this game inside with their defensive tackles. They really don't create a lot of pressure. And if you don't pressure Dak Prescott, he's going to make some plays. And we'll see how this Commander secondary can hold up, being a little short-handed right now. But I do have this weird feeling about the game. Dallas is clearly a better team.
Clearly.
But there's certain levels of skill that the Commanders have. Now, Terry McLaurin is an outstanding wide receiver. When you start to talk about the litany of wide receivers that have come from Ohio State, he doesn't get nearly the credit that he deserves for how he plays. That's a guy that was drafted in the 3rd round, should have been a first-round player. But it doesn't matter what quarterback has got under center when he's played. He finds ways to make productive plays. I mentioned Logan Thomas, the big tight end at 6'6". You're not going to have Curse today in this game. How are the Cowboys going to play coverage? Usually Curse is a guy that can go and walk with a big tight end because he's got length. He's got that ability to kind of run with guys. Wanye Thomas is going to get a lot of work today. And we'll see if Bell gets some work, covering Thomas. You just can't do things in this game that keeps the Commanders in, and because they'll stay in the game. The Commanders will stay in the game. The problem is, can they finish the game? And you don't want this to be the 1 week that all of a sudden they're in the game and then they're able to finish.
No question about it. Yeah, this is not one of those games you can afford to dink around on at all. I'm not looking for style points. I'm not even looking for the fireworks. I would love it. There's going to be opportunity for it, but this is one of those just survive in advance, keep it moving. This is a take out the trash game, Broaddus. Okay, that's what this is. Just survive with a victory. Let's keep rocking and rolling. 12 straight here at AT&T Stadium. Just getting started on the official pregame show of America's team. A Thanksgiving game day. Great to have you in on 105.3 The Fan. Let's go around the NFL. Are the Cowboys going to dial up this linebacker? There's a big-name linebacker. He's on the market. Cowboys interested. Let's get Broaddus and his sources. Plus, let's hear from Tyler Smith. Absolute stud guard all season long. He's today's player profile. We'll get you that next right here on The Fan.
It's time to get back in the game. Weight loss surgery with My Bariatric Solutions can help. I had to sleeve and lost over 180 pounds.
I can't tell you how blessed I am to be able to play for the home team, especially on Thanksgiving. Like last year, first time doing it, it was really just a special occasion because, you remember as a kid when you were around with the family. For me, it was in Shreveport, because that's where a lot of my family is. Just watching those legendary Thanksgiving moments. Like, I remember one year, and this ain't Cowboys related, but you remember the year, Lions versus Packers, and Dominican Sue lost his mind on Thanksgiving. It's always just crazy moments like that, with the whole family. That's just it's just great stuff.
So now that you are a Dallas Cowboy, what's it like on Thanksgiving as far as preparation and trying to take care of your family too? Because everybody want to go to the game, or afterwards, would y'all get together to eat, or is it on Friday now? What's your schedule like on a Thanksgiving now that you're playing?
I mean, typically we try to eat the same night. If not, we try to do it the next day. But I was able to get my mom a house in the off season, so we're gonna do it there this year. Excellent. Last year was at my house, and so I mean, it's just a really cool thing. To bring the family out for Thanksgiving. That's obviously a special time, and for us to be able to just enjoy that together and enjoy that moment and these blessings together. It's just a blessing for me and for all of us. So it's really great.
So back in the day when John Madden would do Thanksgiving, he had that turducken. Did you ever hear about a turducken? Do you know what that is?
A turducken? I heard the word. I don't actually know how to.
I'll tell you what it is. It's a turkey, a duck, and a chicken all mixed together.
I don't know how they do that.
I don't either, but it's good. They always give it to whoever has a great game, couple of players or whatnot.
Okay. Let me get a turducken then.
I'm about to try one of these days, right?
Yeah, we do ham.
I was going to ask you what you have.
In the Smith household, we typically do ham. We do some greens. My mom don't like cheese, so mac is never really, just the top option. Some dressing, just the old-fashioned stuff. Nothing crazy. And then some yams. She'll cook some yams.
You gotta have a yam.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a yam.
So let me start a fight. Sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie? Tell the truth. I'm a sweet potato pie myself.
I'm gonna go sweet potato pie. I don't really like either.
Really?
I don't got that much of a sweet tooth.
Pecan pie? No sweet tooth.
I'm allergic to pecans, tree nuts. Right. It is what it is. But I don't really got a sweet tooth for that stuff. But if I had to choose, if it was a gun to my head and there's you got to choose one, I'd definitely choose the sweet potato pie.
So what is your go-to dessert on holidays? Apple pie?
Hey, yo.
Oh, Bluebell. There you go.
Bluebell ice cream.
There it is.
I don't care what holiday it is. Bluebell till I die. But only on the holidays, because I'm a big dude and I ain't trying to get that much bigger. So,
Tyler Smith, appreciate you. Good luck this afternoon.
No problem. Appreciate you.
That was fantastic, man. Tyler Smith, what a stud. Bluebell till I die. That's right. No question about it.
Did they even did they have a football question there?
Was there a football question?
I don't think there was a football question. I was okay with that.
That's how you become a 3-time Hall of Famer.
That's a
Chris
Hall
Arnold,
of Fame
man.
interview right there. Absolutely.
Wonderful. And that interview is brought to you by Reliant and NRG Company. Before we get the details on how interested the Cowboys are in a former All-Pro linebacker, let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan. Solo, baby. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
We'll get you to CBS Television's Tracy Wolfson as quickly as possible, but in the meantime, Broaddus, Shaq Leonard, Shaquille Leonard, Darius Leonard, Mr. Leonard himself, the linebacker out of Indianapolis, 28 years old, and he is now free to sign with any team he wants to after the Colts released him this week. And this is after the Cowboys just had a bit of a struggle fest trying to stop the run versus the Panthers on Sunday. I've seen reports of Cowboys and Eagles being very interested in Shaq Leonard. What do you know, and should the Cowboys be all over him?
Well, the Cowboys are interested, and what they'll tell you is they're going to try and kick the tires on this one. So that means now with him clearing waivers, he'll probably get himself together the next couple of days, and then you have to go out and recruit him, with the idea of, okay, can you make the compensation work for him? Now it's a whole new contract, so you're not binded to his contract that he had with the Colts, but you got to make sure you compensate him the right way. And this will come down to recruiting, and you've got some guys with Will McClay, Jerry Jones, Dan Quinn. You've got some guys that can close, and so it's going to be. And then he's got a couple of former teammates that are on the team as well.
Stephon Gilmore
on the team, yeah. So he's got some guys that he knows, and he can and ask questions too. So there will be a full court press here, but your Dallas Cowboys are definitely one of the teams that's in the mix.
And I know you've scattered him out. What would the Cowboys be getting if they're able to land him?
This is what you look for at this time is you're trying to kind of figure out what could be the issue. Why would they move on from him? He's not playing much on nickel coverage, so he's not a 3-down linebacker. He was at one time in his career. It never came off the field.
He was one of the best.
One of the best.
Then he's got banged up.
He has gotten a little banged up. There's some questions about maybe some nerve problems that he might have. There were some people talking about, does he have maybe a mild case of drop foot?
With Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith, but not to the severity of what Jalen Smith was. So, those are the things that people talk about with the player. But, dealing with the back and some of the things like that. So, it's just going to be a matter of can you recruit. But he's capable. When you watch him play, you're looking for movement. You're looking, is there any stiffness in the way he's playing? Can he not run anymore? Is he missing tackles in space? All these things are no. He's one of those guys, he could still run. He could still play downhill. He still has that awareness, the instincts and all that. So, if the Cowboys can somehow land this player, this was a guy, a position that we were all kind of talking about at the trade deadline. Would you add a linebacker? Football Guys might have thrown you one here if you can get on it.
Man, that would be pretty dang special. This late in the year, you're not usually able to bring in a guy that can help you, and you're not looking for a total world beater necessarily. You're just looking for a guy who, do you have a skill or two that can help my football team right now? And I think he absolutely does. You saw the run defense last week versus Carolina. What did you think about that? I felt like these defensive tackles were getting turned left and right.
Yeah, when the Cowboys play poor run defense, it's usually self-inflicted. It is usually something happens with the defensive line. They're laid off the ball. They get turned. They gamble. And you had some second-level linebacker play that was gambling, running around blocks. Maybe we call it guessing. Like, okay, I think the ball is going to appear here, and then it appears on the other side. And now you've got a linebacker that's out of the play. You've got a defensive tackle that's hooked, and then you've got an edge that's washed. And now there's the gap. And the Carolina Panthers didn't run the ball all that well coming into that game last week, but all of a sudden they get some chunk plays on you. And that's what you worry about in the Cowboy defense. They can play run defense with the best of them, but when they do things that are self-inflicted with technique and guessing, they're very, very, very below average run defense in that regard.
I got to tell you, I love being out here on the Miller Lite West Plaza and seeing the turkey hats.
Yeah.
Seeing these turkey hats. You have the full-on gobbler, that hasn't been hunted yet turkey, still floating around,
right.
Living his life turkey. But then you have the ready-to-eat turkeys that are sitting on some of these Cowboy fan heads, and it looks awesome.
Across from me, it looks like the plates of food.
It looks delicious.
It looks delicious, with the Van Der Esch jersey and a big turkey on your head. It's amazing.
That's a brine turkey on that guy's head right now.
Oh no, there's absolutely and nice color. This gives nice color. It looks like it's not overly cooked. It looks perfect for the color you need.
Yeah, that guy nailed it. Okay, I got a trivia question for you here. Cowboys, of course, are on a 12-game home heater, which is pretty nice.
Last time they lost?
Looking for 13. Nope. Right now, you're sitting at 12 in a row at AT&T Stadium. That's the longest streak at home since they went on an 18-game run at the old Texas Stadium.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Was it in the 90s?
It was not in the 90s. How about that for a clue?
Okay,
it was not in the 90s.
70s.
This was a bleed in from the 70s to the 80s.
Oh, was it? So you went 19. I'm going to go 1975. Until
that'd be a 5-year dominant streak. 18 games. You went 19.
No, I'm saying the year.
Yeah,
I'm saying the year.
1979.
Oh, 79
to 81.
Okay, I thought he was going 75 to 79. I thought that, but you
gotcha.
said there was a bleed in.
Yeah,
okay.
Bleeds into the 80s.
Yeah.
It was an 18 home game win streak at the old Texas Stadium, 1979.
I was going to games from 72 to 92, so I probably saw this streak.
Yeah, you were just too drunk to really remember.
A lot of the time. Yeah, probably right about that.
You were a legendary tailgater at one point, Broaddus. You were. You were a Cowboy fan.
Oh, no question.
You did it right. You did it better than any of them.
Well, we used to take a Christmas tree to the stadium, for those games with no ornaments. And then as you finished your beer can, you put it on the tree. So by the end of the day, you had a completely He had a
just
tree.
Yellow bellies. I mean, Miller Lights just all over that thing.
All these white cans on the. All these white cans on a tree.
We got some turkey heads over here. We got some turkey heads. We
Yeah.
got a couple of commies. They can go bleep themselves. It's okay.
He's got the Ryan Kerrigan jersey on there.
Hey, it's big. It's good. And it's only for Cowboys fans. How about this? The Cowboys special from Papa John's. Large one-topping pizza for only $9.99. Order today. Better ingredients, better pizza. It's Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. I'll tell you what. You mix in a little pizza on that Thanksgiving spread, I ain't going to be upset at you. Me personally,
You
I'm
just
not
like
mad.
to eat.
You see a little pizza there floating around.
No,
That's a nice touch.
You're just an eater. That's what you do.
I am an eater. There's no question about that. All right, what do we got here with this Detroit Lions game? I mean, this is getting a little bit wonky on everybody right now. Detroit off of what was a absolute nail biter on Sunday versus the Bears. They come in on a short week again versus a division rival. Same way the Cowboys are, and the Lions are just getting absolutely smoked right now, 23-6. Right before halftime. So you got Jared Goff turning over the football, bad things happening to the Lions, but there's a little update for you there. I also saw Jay Glazer on Fox's pregame show answer the question that we've been asking about Aaron Rodgers.
When's he coming back?
Well, would he still be coming back if by the time he's ready to go, the Jets are eliminated? And tomorrow they're trotting out a Tim Boyle, I believe, to play quarterback for them inexplicably.
Who actually was a teammate of Aaron Rodgers at one time at Green Bay.
Yeah, certified bad football player. And so the Jets, their season is just spiraling in front of them, and they're going to be eliminated.
That's bad for a Jet to be spiraling, by the way.
You
don't want to be a spiraling Jet.
If you're a football, go spiral.
Yeah.
If you're a Jet,
bad idea.
Let's calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think you have Jay Glazer talking about Aaron Rodgers being so hell-bent on defying science
absolutely.
and being a pioneer for the new age way of recovering from an Achilles injury that Aaron Rodgers is still planning on playing if and when he's good enough to go here in the next few weeks or whatever it is. Even if the Jets are really not a playoff contender at all by then, he will still want to go out there and prove everybody that he's the guy that can do this thing.
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of what Aaron Rodgers is all about. He told everybody that he was going to be back before the end of the season, and we all kind of laughed at him.
Yep.
But he is a guy that always believes in, in really kind of thumbing it in the face of everybody right there. And so it's not surprising me. I mean, if you're the Jets, you're probably sitting there thinking, really, do we want to put him back out there with all those questions behind the offensive line? I tell you what, Aaron Rodgers actually does feel bad about the situation because supposedly, this was going to be a year where they were going to redshirt Zach Wilson. They were going to let Zach Wilson sit, learn, observe, and all that, and try and kind of rebuild his confidence. I'll tell you the one thing that Zach Wilson has gotten better at: accountability. Remember last year were a couple times like offense was terrible, and he was like, "I don't see a problem here."
Yeah, he didn't.
Now he's like, "I understand why they're making a change."
All right, just getting started here on the official pregame party of your Dallas Cowboys. Under 2.5 hours to kick off. Cowboys versus Commanders here at AT&T Stadium. CBS on the call today. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson, one of our favorites. She joins us next right here on The Fan.
Cowboys fans.
Feed your wild side. Always feed your wild side responsibly. Be safe. We're saying this because we love you.
Under 2.5 hours to a Thanksgiving kickoff, and the Jerry Chopper is landing here in the Miller Lite West Plaza. But right now, it is time to go inside of AT&T Stadium, down on that beautiful turf, and welcome in CBS Television's Tracy Wolfson. She will be all over the sidelines for CBS today, hanging out with Jim Nance and Tony Romo. Happy Thanksgiving, Tracy, and I have to imagine you appreciate this hospitality with the music playing in the background.
I really do. I love the intro. I appreciate it. Go Blue, but I am not focusing on that one until after this one is over.
Totally understand. Totally understand. Always great to have you. Thank you for giving us some time today. What do you think coming into this one? What's the overarching narrative for you as you build the storylines for this game?
Yeah, of course you want to talk Thanksgiving, right? And I thought it was interesting. We were talking with Dak Prescott yesterday, and he said to us, he's won 3 games on Thanksgiving, but he's never had the chance to actually eat the turkey leg. He said when he's won, they gave him a trophy at the time, and I'm not sure about the other time. So he really wants to partake in that tradition, having grown up a Cowboy fan and watching this game so much. And then the flip side of it, we talked to Sam Howell, also grew up a Cowboys fan as well, was a huge Romo fan growing up, dreamed of this day. And I think a funny fact, not sure if you know, he's never eaten seafood, steak, or a burger. So I had to ask, do you eat turkey? Yes, he does eat turkey because otherwise we're going to have chicken nuggets on hand if he can pull this one out. But, you love the fluff stories on Thanksgiving, certainly. And then, there's a lot at stake here. I mean, the Cowboys are playing tremendous football, and they can't get tripped up because they know what lies ahead, especially with a challenging schedule. But I think they're playing their best football right now. I think you're seeing Dak and CD playing their best football. It seems to be that Dak is fully in sync with Mike McCarthy and everything he's brought to this offense, play calling wise this year. And then you have this defense. So, there's a lot of storylines that are going to come out of this game, and can't wait to kick off.
Tracy, you guys do such a good job with your broadcast. So do you feel a little bit of extra responsibility when you broadcast on holidays? When you know that the whole entire, the nation, the world, do you feel that kind of that responsibility of man, this is really, really big for us today?
I think so. I mean, certainly heightened to have a national game where, everyone's sitting around with family. It's a tradition. They're watching no matter what. Football fans and non-football fans alike, which also you have to think about when you're doing a game is, you're actually broadcasting to the average fan. They might not know much about the Cowboys or the Reds or the Commanders. And so you really need to focus on that, maybe bring some feel-good stories to light as well. Maybe, talk a little bit more in layman's terms and just tell everyone kind of what's at stake and what's so special about this Thanksgiving game. So certainly I feel a responsibility. I love being part of it. I believe me, of course, you always wish you could be with your family on the holiday, but this is no doubt secondly, the second best thing we could do is be around, my football family and be on the field for this one.
Yeah, you mentioned that though, but is there a side of you that you now know this is what I was meant to do? I was meant to broadcast these big games and be a part and work on holidays and all that.
Of course. I mean, no doubt. I dreamed of this. This is something I dreamed about since I was, 8, 9 years old, sitting in my room practicing being a sideline reporter, wanting to do this. I don't think you know what comes with it until you actually are in the business. But I've been working sidelines for Thanksgiving Day games even before being involved in the NFL, certainly in college football as well. I was always working on Thanksgiving. So it comes with the territory. You embrace it. You find other ways to celebrate. We do on Tuesday. We do our Tuesday Thanksgiving with my family, and it's become an incredible tradition that we look forward to. So, you're prepared for this, you understand, and you welcome it as well.
CBS TV's Tracy Wolfson with us here on 105.3 The Fan. You said you got to catch up with Dak this week. Who else on the Cowboys side of things did you get to catch up with?
Yeah, with the holiday, it was a little brief, certainly. Spoke with Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn, and then on the flip side, we talked with Sam Howell and Ron Rivera. So didn't get a chance to really dive in deep with a lot of these players. A short week for them. I love how Mike McCarthy had planned for this short week weeks ago, really lightening up on practice and then, really working towards this game plan leading into Carolina. They had this game plan set. Dak Prescott told us that he feels like this is just any other week. They feel fresh and ready to go, which, says a lot when you have such a quick turnaround. I think that bodes well, and certainly being at home, we know their home record. So had a great conversation with them. And Dan Quinn, to me, every time we sit down and talk to him, you're more and more impressed with the coach that he is, the person that he is. We talked a lot about his 83 turnovers that this defense has forced since he took over, which leads the league. And now you're facing a team, right, in Washington who has 6 turnovers last game. So what Dan Quinn has brought to this team, I think, is incredible. I always enjoy our meetings with the Cowboys.
Yeah, Tracy, when you talk to him, do you kind of feel like, though, he is always quick to give credit to others? He's always quick to, say, well, my defense are doing this, my guys are doing that, but you're absolutely right about what he's done. This seems to be just a perfect fit for Dan Quinn being in Dallas, especially with the talent that they have on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, he doesn't want the credit. I mean, he definitely defers all of that to his players and his other coaches. And he talked to us about that a lot in terms of the coaches and putting together their game plans. We talked about those turnovers. I asked, how do you get it done? He talks about throughout the week how the coaches, have several meetings, one on tackling, one on turnovers, how the players take responsibility, the leaders that he has on these teams that he can defer to as well. So you're right. I mean, never really wants the credit, but certainly certainly it does start up top with him and what he's been able to do. And then the relationship that he has with Mike McCarthy and the offensive side of the ball as well. I mean, it's a total team effort here, and they've got a really good thing going in Dallas.
Tracy Wolfson with us here on The Fan. Yeah, absolutely rocking and rolling in Dallas right now. Where do you think these Cowboys stack up in the conference? You got Philly, San Francisco, Detroit's kind of getting worked around right now at halftime versus Detroit or versus the Packers. But where do you see the Cowboys stacking up in the conference?
I think they're right there. Now, look, I haven't had a chance to see Dallas in person since week 2. I walked away from that game against the Jets and said, this is a Super Bowl team. I was just so impressed. And I know they went through a little bit, in the middle of the season, and certainly Carolina was an easy win for them. But I think right now you're seeing just from top to bottom the confidence of this team. And Dak will say he feels as though this team is in the best place they've ever been. And that says a lot coming from Dak, coming from the Cowboys. And so you look around the league, you're right. There's a huge challenge ahead for the Cowboys with this schedule coming up starting next week with the Seahawks. So that's going to be the biggest challenge. We talked about trying to make up ground against a Philadelphia Eagles team that leads the NFC East right now, and they know what they need to do. And Mike McCarthy telling us they focus on that after Thanksgiving. That's when they start talking kind of when they get 11 wins, then they feel comfortable enough to start talking about the playoff picture and what they need to do. They know the challenges ahead of them. You see what, Philadelphia's been doing, but they've kind of been winning and winning a little ugly. So, there's some opportunities there. You're talking about Detroit. You talk about a San Francisco team that went through a rough patch as well, getting healthy now. So certainly a lot of, really solid teams out there in the NFC vying for that home playoff game.
And you mentioned, Tracy, Philadelphia. You guys are doing a little double dipping this week, right? You get today's game, then you get Bills, Eagles. Do you go straight to Philly from here?
I got very fortunate because Philly's just 2 hours from home. So I'm going to fly home tomorrow, get the opportunity to sleep in my own bed, chill out a little bit, maybe watch that Black Friday game, and then I will leave. Well, I got to be honest. I'm not leaving until after that Michigan-Ohio State game is over. Yeah. So I will hop in the car and I will head to Philly then. But, priorities.
Tracy, do you with the big game like that, are you glad it's 11 a.m. Central for us, but you were glad it's an early game when they play that, or would you rather see that game being played later in the day or maybe even at night?
I don't know. That's a great question, but we go back to tradition, right? It's always been 12 Eastern, and we're used to that, and I think there's something nice about just getting up and getting ready to go and having it over with by 3:30. I think, the long anticipation, the long wait, I'm sure on campus, the concerns of just lots of, students drinking all day and getting riled up for a big one if it was pushed later on. But I never really think about it, just used to it. We get about 10 Michigan families that we went to college with, all of, the husbands, wives, kids. They come over. We host at our house. We've got about, 50 people that show up, and it's always a fun time. Now, granted, the last 2 years have been, better than ever, and hopefully we walk away this time feeling the same way.
Well, Tracy, okay, I'm going to shift on you a little bit here. We've talked about, or we've heard about all the things with the sideline reporter, with Clarissa and her stuff and her comments. And I want to ask you this question, and this is just my opinion. I just wish the coaches would help you guys more. That's my opinion. I think you guys have a horrible job. I mean, it's a great job, but I think it's horrible for how you guys are put in some bad spots sometimes. Am I wrong about that? I just want the coaches to be better because I know the sideline reporters are better. That's just my take. Am I way off base on that one? I just want the coaches to help you guys a little more.
Well, let me first say we have the best job in the world. I mean, I absolutely love what I do, and I love that all that comes with it. And to be honest, talking to coaches is such a minute part of our job, and it's really not the basis of our job. And I think in reality, one of the only reasons we do it is because we're here and we're down here, and why not? right? I mean, it's just added information and other stuff you can get from the field, but that is such a minor part. And I actually respect all the coaches for even taking the time to do it. I know how busy they are. I know that their mind isn't in it. You know that they just want to get to the locker room or then get back out and have to call plays. And so I understand where they are. And to be honest, for the most part, we get great stuff from the coaches.
Okay.
And yeah, it might be coach talk, but that's what it is. I mean, let's be realistic. So I actually respect everyone who takes the time to sit and talk to us, and all of those coaches do. And the ones that don't, we know that going in. They will tell us we will not do an interview with you going into half, and that's fine. It's their choice. And so that's just such a minor part. You know, getting into sideline reporting, you're doing so much more than what's really seen on the air.
Sure.
A lot of this stuff never airs. You're feeding it back to the booth to make sure they know what's happening. You're feeding it into the truck to make sure they understand what's happening down here on the sidelines. So if you get into sideline reporting for the amount of hits you get on the air, then you're in it for the wrong reasons.
Well, Tracy, you're the best in the business. We appreciate you as always. Enjoy your stay here, and good luck to your blue.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
There she goes, Tracy Wolfson, CBS sideline reporter on today's call with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. Today's game between the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium is brought to you by Miller Lite. It is Miller time. Broaddus, I know you're fired up for today's halftime show, man. You've been talking about Dolly Parton all freaking week long.
Are you surprised that I actually know Dolly Parton songs?
Yeah, you said it. You thought it was "Hey Darlene," I think.
No, that was Lucius. Lucius.
Okay, maybe I got the wrong guy.
I actually knew something. I actually knew a song from Dolly Parton. Yeah, it's Jolene is the name of the song.
It is Jolene. And I'll be honest with you. Oh, as we get the Thanksgiving Day Dolly Parton Dallas Cowboys T-shirt, that's a dang good
Those are my guys.
Right
that's
there.
My guys.
That's a dang good look. Oh, these are your friends?
Those are my friends down there. Yeah.
Look at that. All right,
yeah.
doing it big. That's a great Thanksgiving shirt. I think it's the same one Dak was wearing at the podium last week. As he's sort of the cowboy mannequin there for all the new goods, the good merch.
Yeah.
So that's a sweet shirt. I do know the Jolene song, but I don't believe if you
9 to 5. You know 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5.
Okay, I think probably.
You know that one.
I do know that one. You know,
I'm singing way too much on the air. This is like the second time I've had to sing on the air today.
It's true. Well, that was the first one you volunteered it. Okay?
I guarantee you, 2 guys, 1 booth. This is going to be part of it. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Me singing.
Yeah, we got to get you singing. And I know during the halftime with Wolchuk, you're going to be like, Wolchuk, we don't need any football analysis.
Yeah.
Let me just sing along a little a cappella style with my girl Dolly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know you too well, Broaddus. All right, we're just getting started here. I mean, what a beautiful day it is. I'm going to be honest with you, getting a little bit chilly. Just a little bit chilly. All right, maybe I'm soft, but the wind. But
I would say
it's all about Thanksgiving and football right now. We're at AT&T Stadium. The party's rocking. I mean, Cowboys Nation has infiltrated the Miller Lite West Plaza in a huge, huge way. It's a football celebration, and we are very, very excited to have you with us here. 877-881-1053. And let's get you some Babe Laufenberg action coming up next right here on The Fan.
Ho, ho, ho. Visiting from the North Pole, Santa.
Football Feast live radio show with 105.3 The Fan's K&C Masterpiece on Fridays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Stop into your local Dallas-Fort Worth B-Dubs for more details and a schedule of show locations. Buffalo Wild Wings is your football headquarters all season with wall-to-wall TVs, fresh wings, award-winning sauces, including the return of hot barbecue and great happy hour and late-night offerings. There isn't a better place to be on Fridays this season than at a Buffalo Wild Wings sports bar near you.
This is the Dallas Cowboys pregame show.
Fade up and caught. Touchdown, Dallas.
Brought to you by Bill Nunnally, attorneys and counselors. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Jack Link's, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco Techron, driving performance. And by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza.
Just about 2 hours to kick off. Cowboys Commanders, welcome into the official pregame party of your Dallas Cowboys. Babe Laufenberg joins us now, live from AT&T Stadium. Babe, happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm calling this one a survive in advance, keep it moving, take out the trash game, okay? I don't need the fireworks or the style points. Let's get this victory. Let's get on home for the Turkey Birds.
Well, I'm all for it, and unlike the last 2 weeks, I thought there was no way the Giants could beat the Cowboys here. I thought Carolina, lots going to have to go wrong for Carolina to beat them, but there's an outside possibility. I think this could be a lot tougher game than people are anticipating. If they think this is going to be like the last 2 weeks, I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Babe, I'm going to say this. You've played for both teams, so you understand the rivalry better. I don't need Joe Gibbs showing up and running counter trays today, because this football team will not run the ball. I don't know why, but this team has a history. The Commanders have a great history of running the football, but yet just from a perspective of dealing with it on both sides, you being with at the time the Redskins, now the Commanders, and then with the Cowboys. Talk about the rivalry from that perspective.
Well, it was interesting because my very first NFL game, and I did not go to an NFL game before I actually was in the NFL. It was Monday Night Football, back when Monday Night Football was it. Not that it's not big, but it was it. And it was Washington-Dallas in the season opener. And we, at that time, was Washington, and we go in at halftime. We're up 23-3. The crowd's going crazy. We're at RFK.
That place is shaking, awesome. I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, I thought this is awesome. And then Dallas comes back. Tony Hill has like 2 70-yard touchdown catches, and we lose 31-30. But I always said, hey, if nothing else, if I never get it, it was like the Moonlight Graham moment. If I get cut that day or that night and I never have another NFL game or experience, I was like, I had one, and it was Cowboys and Washington and Monday Night Football. And again, it was the greatest day of my life until, Bryan, the next day. Because I found out Tuesday was payday in the NFL.
Payday.
And unlike the NIL guys today, I was like, well, they're gonna pay me for this? The same thing that I've been doing for 12 years of my life. They're gonna pay me? So Tuesday became the greatest day of my life.
you were born a little too early for NIL.
Just
a little bit.
Maybe you could have maybe some compensation some other ways though, babe. Right? Maybe as a quarterback.
No. Hey, I was at Indiana, and if we were paying people, we would have been better. But I was like, hey,
if we were in the business school, we'd have got something better, right?
Better not have been paying people losing like that.
Yeah.
Well, babe, from a Thanksgiving memory standpoint, when it comes to the Cowboys, what jumps out to you?
Well, probably my first one playing for the Cowboys was 1989, and we weren't very good, but I'm standing there on the sideline before the national anthem, hand over heart, and I look to my right, and there's Elizabeth Taylor.
Jeez.
Do you remember she came out for the coin flip?
Coin toss,
She came out for the coin toss on the Thanksgiving. And I swear, I'm looking to my left. I got a teammate naturally, as coach or whatever. And I look over, and I'm like, holy, you know what? That's Elizabeth Taylor standing next to me.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this is going to be a little different. And then that was the game also. Buddy Ryan, they took out our kicker, Zendejas at the time, big fight. That's when Jimmy Johnson said Buddy got his big fat rear end in the locker room after the game. And that started the whole, really Philadelphia-Dallas rivalry going there. Those late 90s and then on into the, late 80s into the early 90s.
Did you look down at her finger, babe, and see a ring that rivaled a Super Bowl ring on that left hand from Richard Burton?
Yeah, I think she had something on, and if I'm not mistaken, she was selling her perfume. I think that was
perfume.
I forget the name of it.
I do remember this.
That was sort of the impetus for her being there. Anyway, yeah, it was pretty wild. Could you imagine like Bill Belichick on the sideline, and there's Elizabeth Taylor before the coin flip?
I think he'd be ticked off. I think he'd be like, what the heck is she doing down here?
We got
football.
Somebody of that ilk, I think he would ask her a lot of questions.
Like, why are you here?
Maybe, no. I think he would be. I think he'd be interested. Somebody like that. I think somebody that's that interesting. I think he would be.
There's no way he would be as interested in her as Babe is in Dolly Parton's halftime show today. That's just a guess.
You know what's funny?
That's just a guess.
I don't often watch the halftime shows, not because but you guys have been up here. You go up, you get something to eat, you use the facility, you look at a few notes, you come back down. But today, I'm going to be front and center for Dolly, and I just think she's, Icon gets tossed around way too much, but she really is. And I think she's got a second resurgence that some of those artists have, and going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see her. Now, but my fondest wish is one day, and I imagine he's too much money, they can't afford it, I want Bob Dylan to come out and play all 11 minutes of Desolation Row as the only halftime entertainment. Just play all 11 minutes of Desolation Row.
That would
you
be
with me?
Actually, I'm with you. I'm with you on Bob Dylan though.
I'm gonna drop that in the.
You're just so fine through the bums.
Yeah, that's going in the suggestion box.
Could you imagine? Oh gosh, can you imagine if they said the halftime performer will be Bob Dylan? Oh, that'd be great.
You and I will cheer. Everybody else will go.
Hey.
Who? Well, babe. Speaking of a resurgence of the quarterback for your Dallas Cowboys is. I feel like he's playing some of the best ball, and maybe a little bit of the early of the season, him, the play caller, trying to get on the same page with some things, and after the, maybe the San Francisco game, they open it up a little bit more. Talk about what you've seen from him now on a weekly basis. It seems like we come into these games, and you're like, if we put it on his back, we'll be okay today.
I just think he's been great, not unlike probably a lot of people think he's been great, really since the bye. I think they went into the bye, and this has been a little bit of a different look offense. The ball's going down the field now, which it did not through the first 5 games. And, boy, Dak, everything he's doing is A+ in my mind. Like his reads, the way he's getting through his reads, that's A+. The way he is maneuvering out of the pocket, getting out of the pocket and making plays, A+. The accuracy of which he is throwing the ball, A+. The ball has not been put into harm's way. All these throws, you're hard pressed to say, wow, he got away with that one. And he's on, about as good a stretch as I've seen Dak Prescott play. And obviously he's been at it for 8 years.
Well, Babe Laufenberg with us here on The Fan. Babe, on the other side of things, Sam Howell, I know you were actually a big fan of his coming out. You and Broaddus, probably the two biggest people that I know that were advocating for teams to go ahead and take a chance on Sam Howell. The Commanders did that. He's been their starter all year. He leads the league in passing. They throw it all over the place because Bieniemy is not really keen on running the football. But what have you seen from Sam Howell?
He's making, to me, a good progression for a first-year starter. He's only in his second year, obviously. And I think he's been, you watch it, last week was a little bit of a struggle, but they are putting so much on him.
Yes.
First-year starter, and they're kind of treating him like he's Pat Mahomes, which is where Bieniemy was. He's not Pat Mahomes, not yet anyway. And that's just a lot to carry on your plate when you're carrying the team. And hey, I like Robinson at running back, big.
I do too.
Tough.
Yeah.
Why they don't give him the ball more, I don't know. But if they turn this into a passing game, they're going to get destroyed. They will not be able to hold up against this pass rush. So. But, when I sit there and say, well, they're going to run it, but I'm sure there have been a lot of games where people say, well, they're going to have to run it here. and they just come out flinging the football. But I remember when they took Sam Howell, I texted a personnel guy high up in the Washington organization and said, man, I think you guys got a steal. I love this guy. And so far, I think he's been pretty good.
Babe Laufenberg with us here on The Fan. All right, Babe, I'm a little bit curious. Have you ever run into a situation after a game that you just played, you can't wait to go take that hot shower, all of a sudden the hot water's no longer available?
Well, you know what's funny? I came from a family of 6 kids, and we had
So you
one
never
shower.
got hot water.
We had one shower, and if you're, I literally, and I hope my sister's listening, she probably is, I would pull her out of the shower because I knew there was going to be no hot water because she treated it like she was at a Four Seasons or something, right?
Yeah.
She was gonna, and I'm like, get out. I'm going to take a cold shower here. And but you know what's funny though, guys? So obviously was up in Washington my first 3.5 years. My last 2 were in Dallas, and we go up there and the visiting locker room was terrible and all that. And I think there was a game where we didn't have hot water, and you know, the water barely came out. It was like a dribble. And they're like, they're turning off the water for the visiting teams. When I was with Washington, there were times at RFK, we wouldn't have hot water. So it wasn't like they shut it off at the visiting locker room. It was like run by the Parks Department. And Bryan, you've been there. I mean,
yes.
The place was a dump, but it was the
shake.
best place in
Yeah.
the world to play football.
Yeah.
I mean, it was rocking. But the place itself was a dump. Hey, Brad used to do, and I think I did one game out there. Your equipment and everything, you were sitting in the stands.
Catwalk,
basically.
right?
Yeah. So, but hey, to me, no better place to play football than RFK.
That's fantastic.
Now, not great if you wanted to take a hot shower at the end
No,
of the game.
I was going to ask you, did Mr. Kent Cook, what did he just not want to? I mean, if you guys played poorly that day, did you just not get hot water? Yeah.
You know, I'm not for sure, but I think it was like run by the Parks Department. So they probably
kind of like
took
they do
care
in
of like
Chicago.
Yeah, so they probably had a 6th grade flag football game at another park, and so when that
Sure.
one finished up, they sent that crew over to RFK to try to see if they get water. And it was incredible. Hey, very quickly, guys, because I know we're probably short on time, but Thursday is my trivia question for Sean and RJ. But obviously we did not do a show, but okay. Who was the starting quarterback for Washington the last time they won a playoff game?
Ooh, last time they won a playoff game.
I'll even give you the year. 2005 is the last year that Washington. If people here think they've got it bad because the Cowboys haven't been to a Super Bowl, this team hasn't won a playoff game.
So Robert
since
Griffin
05.
never won a playoff game then.
No, he didn't.
2005.
And he was after that. He came in 2012.
Yeah. When was Heath Schuler involved in all this stuff? Because he never won a playoff game. But that's
I'm going to give you a hint. Left-hander.
Oh,
Mark
Brunell.
Mark Brunell?
Mark Brunell. There we go.
Oh, Mark Brunell. Okay.
Mark
yeah.
Brunell. Last guy to win a playoff game for Washington. Last quarterback, I should say. Mark Brunell.
Jeez.
There we go.
Gosh. That's a nightmare.
I was with Mark Brunell one time, and Tom Coffey threw 3 interceptions in a game in Jacksonville, and Coffin's like standing there, and Mark's like, it was God's will today, and
oh yeah,
Tom goes, God didn't want you to throw 3 interceptions today, Mark.
That's funny. But you know what? He didn't. But unlike Tom Coughlin, God forgave him.
God forgave him. Absolutely. Tom is not going to forgive you.
No,
Tom would turn the hot water off. That's a turn the hot water guy off.
Oh, that's great.
Right there.
That's great.
Yeah.
But I love Brunell. I thought he was a really, really good player. Liked him.
He was. He sure was.
He's a dang good
We drafted him in Green Bay in '92.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And I know Coughlin came up when he was in that sabbatical year or whatever, and came and looked at training camp and said, I like that guy, and took him in whatever that supplemental draft was that they had.
Sure
or did he trade for him, Bryan? Or was he part of that?
We got a pick for him. We did get a pick for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Babe, are we expecting a lot of points in this one? Is this a big point type of game in your mind?
That's a great question because, it's that game where, hey, players are beat up. Turning around 4 days later and playing another NFL game is really hard on the body. But I'll go back to this. Troy Aikman, in his career, the most passing yards he ever had was on a Thanksgiving Day game. He threw for 455. And what happens on these games, you don't have time to put in a lot of stuff, right? They got back.
Right.
You have one practice, basically. So you sit there, and what do? You say, you know what, let's just go to the things we do well. Let's go to our basics. Let's go to the things we know how to do that we've run over and over this year. And sometimes it turns out to be a better game where you're like, gosh, maybe we didn't need to do all that.
Right.
Maybe we didn't need to stay up at the office until midnight because, again, you scale it back. You do the things you do well. And Troy Aikman throws for 455 on Thanksgiving.
Boom. There you go. Babe Laufenberg, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate the time as always, babe. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and have an awesome day.
All right, happy Thanksgiving to both of you, and look forward to Dolly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
We're hyped up.
9 to 5.
All right.
Yeah.
Jolene.
Jolene, yes.
There he goes. Babe Laufenberg, 1/3 of your broadcast team here on your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan. Brad, Babe, Christy, star-studded as always. Let's go inside the Star. We're under 2 hours to kick off on a Thanksgiving Cowboy game day. Inside the Star with our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt, next right here on The Fan.
Kelly, who said that?
Shop Funtown RV, where we've got indoor climate-controlled showrooms, travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and everything camping. The fun starts at Funtown RV, the official RV dealer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Under 2 hours to a Thanksgiving kickoff here at AT&T Stadium. Miller Lite West Plaza. The party's underway. The gates are open. The doors are open. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling as we go inside the Star. With our guy Bobby Belt. Bob, happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I love how Bobby dressed up for the occasion the same way that Broaddus did today. Broaddus actually is wearing slacks, a button-up, and some really, really nice dress shoes. And it's not because it's Thanksgiving. It's because Dolly Parton's in the house.
I was hoping to maybe run into Dolly Parton. Yeah, if I could, can I use your field credential, by the way?
I don't know. That's a good question because I got chased off the field by security earlier. So
well, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, I mean,
I was trying to maybe help that happen, but that looks like a bad idea now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that it's me. I don't think it had anything to do with my credential. I think it was just my face. So.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I totally relate to whoever was in that moment with you,
Bobby. This is on these games, and like Eric and I have been kind of talking about it really all day today.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit of uneasiness about it. Not as confident as Giants, not as confident as Carolina, but a little bit of like, could this thing really go either way?
Sure. I mean, I don't know that it could go either way. This is a better football. You're a better football team than Washington. There's no doubt about it. But you're a better football team than Arizona too.
Yeah,
and that's what Mike McCarthy keeps coming back to consistently. McCarthy keeps saying this during interviews. We've asked him, leading up to the Giants game or leading up to the Carolina game, talking about like, hey, it's something where you guys are big favorites in this game. How do you keep guys locked in? And one of the things that he said consistently is, like he said, we were big favorites against Arizona too.
Yeah.
And look how that turned out. So I think that he's got an awareness of this. And this is, a Washington team that has given them some problems in the last couple of years. I tweeted out the note earlier that this is the only NFC East team that Mike McCarthy doesn't have a winning record against since he got to Dallas. He's got winning records against the Eagles and Giants, not Washington. And they've lost by 20 points 5 times since McCarthy got here, and 3 of them are to Washington. And so Washington has given you a lot of problems at different points, and they're a team that really likes to throw the ball, really likes to throw it around. And given some of the susceptibility you've had at times with Jordan Lewis, Stephon Gilmore's not quite playing the way he has in the past, then, I mean, that might be something that they could take advantage of.
Yeah, but they can't block.
They can't.
They cannot block. The left side of their offensive line cannot block.
Right.
And we had Julie Donaldson on, who does the radio broadcast for the Commanders, and you could hear it in her voice.
Yeah.
They're asking questions. Why do the Commanders not even try and run the ball? And she said they get behind in games, but they are just totally committed to throwing the ball. They get into an air war today with Dallas. It could get really ugly.
I mean, this is a Dallas pass rush that averages the most sacks per game in the NFC. Sam Howell is on pace right now to be the most sacked quarterback in the history of the NFL. He's on pace for 79 sacks. That's more than what David Carr got sacked his first year in Houston. And so he is taking a lot of shots. He's getting sacked about 5 times a game. And so, I mean, they are in a position right now where they want to throw the ball a lot, but they don't really have the blocking to be able to throw the ball like they want to. They probably, I feel like, last week we were talking about, hey, if this is a week you want to get things going in the run game against Carolina, this might be the week to do it. I feel like teams are going to be saying that about Dallas every week. Like, hey, if you want to try and get your run game going, this might be the week to do it. Because they've got DeRon Bland, they got the pass rush. Let's not try picking on that. Let's instead see if we can take advantage of some of the sloppiness that they've had at times in the run game.
I think Dallas, when they're bad in the run game, it's generally self-inflicted.
Yes,
agreed. When you jump a gap, maybe you jump around a block,
bad read,
bad fit. You come up, miss a tackle, like that. And I don't know what you thought about Brian Robinson, the running back, from Alabama, and now with the Commanders. I kind of feel like handing him the football is a positive play for them.
Yeah.
And I just keep saying I can't believe that they don't even try and run the ball.
Yeah, especially, I mean, given, it was, I think the thought from a lot of people when Eric Bieniemy was coming up was that he'd have some sympathies towards the run game a little bit, and he hasn't. He's really wanted to throw the ball around. Now, is that just complete confidence in Sam Howell? Is that, the feeling about what you have with your weapons? I don't know where that exactly comes from for him, because you do feel like they should have some ability to run the ball effectively, whether it's with Brian Robinson or at times Antonio Gibson, who I know has not had a good year this year, but has been a good player in the past. And this is a Dallas defense.
He's still with a toe injury, by the way.
Yes. He was questionable heading into today. It was apparently a legitimate coin flip. But it's something where you would think that they have the personnel to maybe run the ball a little bit, and Dallas is susceptible to that. So if they're not going to do it today, I just don't know that they're going to run the ball this year, the Commanders.
How about on the flip side of that, though, we saw some glimpses of Dallas' ability to run the ball last week. I personally feel like this game defensively for Dallas is how well Dallas's 3 inside on their offensive line play against the inside 2, and you can maybe even throw Jamin Davis, the linebacker, in there. So that 3-on-3 matchup, if Dallas can control the middle of that Commander defense, they'll have a success today moving the football.
Which, to be honest, that has been a struggle at times for the Cowboys when they've gone up against, really elite interior defenses. This is, Tyler Broaddus has struggled this year. Maybe he's regressed a little bit. Maybe he's a little banged up.
Played better last week, though.
It was a little bit better last week. I actually thought there were times last week that Zach Martin looked like he was struggling a little bit at times with Derek Brown.
Yeah.
And there have been some instances. Zach Martin is still a very good player. Zach Martin's still one of the best guards in football. But there have been times this year where some power players.
I think he would admit that. I think he would.
Have given Zach Martin some trouble, and so. If this interior for Washington is able to, that might be, again, an area where they can find some susceptibility. And so, the interior offensive line is going to have to really step up for the Cowboys today.
It's Bobby Belt with us here on The Fan. Let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on your home of the Dallas Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
All right, Bobby, we're talking about the run defense for the Cowboys. Do you feel like they should be heavily in the mix for Shaq Leonard, who was just released this week by the Colts, former All-Pro linebacker, dealt with some injury issues, kind of a two-down player this season for the Colts, but could the Cowboys use him?
Yeah, I think the Cowboys have clearly been in the market for linebacker for the last couple of years. Look, when they drafted Micah Parsons, they didn't know what Micah Parsons could do as a pass rusher. They went and got Damone Clark and took that gamble on the medicals. They've tried to find things as best they can with the little hybrids, whether it be Wanye Thomas or, when you get Wanye Thomas, Marquise Bell, you play those guys in the box a little bit, Curse. They've tried to find these solutions.
No curse today.
Yeah, no curse today. And so they've tried to find these solutions due to being so thin there. And that was even before they lost Van Der Esch. Now that you've lost Van Der Esch and you've tried to, sign Rashaan Evans, a guy who the Eagles cut earlier in the year, even though they were looking for linebacker help, this is clearly a position that they've needed some help. And so if there's somebody who can contribute there and is a good player and just happen to be a casualty with another roster because of circumstances outside of just he's washed, then I would think that the Cowboys would have interest in that.
Do you expect this to be sort of a high-scoring game? Because I feel like Dak and the passing attack, assuming CeeDee Lamb is himself, he's a little bit banged up, but he's obviously playing today. I feel like the passing attack, the pass rush was just traded away at the deadline for the Commanders. They got no Emmanuel Forbes. They're giving up tons of big play touchdowns. To me, the passing attack for the Cowboys today, they should be into the 30s.
Yeah, and this is honestly, over the last 24 games, Dak started at home. They averaged 37 points per game at home. They've scored 40-plus in half of those games. And so they already are really comfortable here at AT&T Stadium. They have the longest home winning streak. They play so much faster here at home, both on offense and defense, but particularly the passing game just seems to play so much faster when they're here at AT&T Stadium. So I do think that this is a game, just like most home games over the last couple of years have set up for them to put up a lot of points because they feel comfortable here and they're able to get into their rhythm and get into the type of game that they want to play.
Bobby, when you look at the Cowboys, are we seeing some more tight ends actually? And I know Eric hates when I ask a Schoonmaker question.
No, please.
But
Schoonmaker played well last week.
But that's what I'm saying though. Are we maybe turning the corner of having somebody other than Ferguson from the tight end room be a reliable player, a somewhat reliable player?
I would hope so. I mean, that's something where Schoonmaker has played better, or he played better last week. They've been without Hendershot for much of the season, but McEwen is a guy that has been here for a while and that Dak trusts and knows and can step up and block. But yeah, if they can get Schoonmaker to step up and play solid football, that would be huge for them. I mean, they took him in the second round for a reason. They like running these 2 tight end sets. They like what it can do just in the run game. But also, if you can be a reliable chain mover, if you're somebody who can run that seam route that Dak loves to throw to the tight ends, and you can finish that, then that's something that's, I think, would be of great value to them. So the fact that Ferguson has shown consistently, lately anyway, that he can finish that seam route, and we started to see it from Schoonmaker last week, if you can get that viable second tight end, it'd be huge for them.
Bobby Belt with us here on The Fan. Who is the guy you most envision eating a turkey leg on camera at the end of the game? Dak's never done it. He told Tracy Wolfson this week it's one of his sports bucket list things to be the guy that's eating the turkey leg. Apparently, when he won the MVP or whatever a few years ago, they were just doing a trophy. They weren't doing a turkey leg.
I mean, Dak is the easy answer just because of how he's been playing and the fact that you hope you can get the passing game going. I'll say I'm going to go dark horse here. I'm going to say Deron Bland sets that NFL record today, and they give him the turkey leg for that 5th pick six.
That would be so epic, dude. Deron Bland, what he's been able to do is insane. And last week, for my money, it was one of the coolest pick sixes ever. The way he's chasing and trailing the wide receiver across the entire field, leaping, somersaulting, getting up, scoring. You had it all on that play.
If you look at the GPS tracking of him running that back, it looks like he's running a wheel route. It looks like he was just running a route, and man, he has been so huge for them. I mean, you could argue that he's up there in team MVP discussion just for how he solidified things when Diggs went down, and went outside and didn't miss a beat. He's been absolutely fantastic for them.
Can I ask your thoughts about Wanye Thomas? Because I mentioned Curse not playing. I'm kind of scared of what Logan Thomas presents, the 6'6" tight end for the Commanders. I don't know how they're going to navigate that one in this football game. But it looks like we're going to see a lot of Wanye Thomas. Kind of your thoughts about him from training camp, who we absolutely love, to special teams guy. And really, we're all kind of hoping that he would get more of a shot, and really hadn't.
I mean, when he's gotten defensive snaps, he's been good, too.
Yeah.
When he has to step in and play a little bit of the nickel when Jordan Lewis goes down, he played well. When he's had to play in the box some, he's played well. When he's played some of the safety stuff, he's been good. I think it's honestly just been a case of, Donovan Wilson came back in the lineup. They were pretty full. His opportunities started to decrease, and with J-Ron Curse out today, you'll probably see more of that. Specifically with Curse is a guy who a lot of times will take some of the bigger tight ends for them. That's somebody that that's an assignment that he often draws. So is that something where, because they've tried to bring up Marquise Bell as a little bit of a J-Ron Curse replacement or a J-Ron Curse light, and he's got those measurables, I do wonder if maybe Bell draws some of that assignment today.
Love you, Bob. Thanks for the time.
I love you all.
Inside the Star with Bobby Belt, brought to you by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It is Miller time. We are under 90 minutes to kick off Cowboys Commanders Thanksgiving football here at AT&T Stadium. Let's get the scoop. Who's in, who's out with Christy Scales next right here on The Fan.
It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. It's the Cowboys Special from the Cowboys and Papa John's. Get a large one-topping pizza.
Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com.
Under 90 minutes to kick off. Happy Thanksgiving here live from AT&T Stadium, the Miller Lite West Plaza. We'll catch up with Christy Scales here in just a few minutes. Get the scoop ahead of this one. Who's in, who's out, all the need-to-know pertinent information. We got you covered here on 105.3 The Fan. And my goodness, if you're making it out to the game today, you are in store for a fantastic treat, or treats, I should say. Broaddus, are you kidding me? The Thanksgiving roll, savory herb dressing. Herb? Maybe I should go silent on the H there?
Yeah, I think you go herb.
Okay, you go savory herb dressing, green beans, sweet potatoes, cranberry sauce, and house pecan and hickory smoked turkey, bundled and fried in a crispy, delicious egg roll wrap, served with turkey gravy for dipping. Are you kidding me? Legends Hospitality, back at it again with the Thanksgiving deliciousness.
Yeah, there's two of them to an order, and I punished one.
Yes,
and then
you did.
I've learned over the season to bring a Ziploc bag. So the second one will be in the post-game show.
Little post-game Thanksgiving
Post-game
egg roll?
show action, yeah.
That's a heady play.
Yeah. So I'm ready to go. But absolutely, if you have an opportunity to get the Thanksgiving in an egg roll, got to go for that. It was quite tasty.
The way you just housed that was beyond impressive. You didn't breathe. I was watching.
No.
And you didn't spill it on your lovely vest there.
I was worried about maybe some grease leakage.
I was too.
And I was kind of hunched over to make sure that didn't happen. But clutch. Ruby come up with the napkins today was clutch.
Okay, so unlike FedEx Field, you were leakage free.
I'm leakage free. Yeah, thank you.
The Thanksgiving hand pie as well. Legends bringing it
What?
strong with the dessert. Yeah, Thanksgiving hand pie. All that fans love about Thanksgiving in a savory pie. Layers of savory herb dressing, or maybe this is that's going to go ahead and be pretty much a similar deal to the egg roll, but it's going to be in pie form. So if you want the egg roll style, or if you want the pie style, either way, Legends is hooking you up here at AT&T Stadium. So that's going to be fantastic if you are coming to the game today. And we look forward to seeing you. If you're going to stop by the Miller Lite West Plaza, that would be fantastic. Now, I do have some numbers for you here, Broaddus. This is pretty impressive stuff. We were talking about Deron Bland and just a legendary tear that he's on right now with all the interceptions, and he's house calling them at a ridiculous rate. Cowboys Stats and Graphics, at Cowboys Stats on Twitter. It's a must follow, to be quite honest with you. He's comparing what a sack is worth, just a run-of-the-mill sacking of the quarterback, compared to what an interception return for a touchdown is worth. Watch this. The average sack causes a minus 1.7 point swing. But because a pick six takes a positive scoring expectancy for the offense and converts it into 7 points for the other side, it's actually worth minus 8.1 expected points on average. So a typical pick six is worth nearly 5 sacks. When you start talking about defensive players of the year, and everybody's talking about the Myles Garretts of the world, and of course our very own Micah Parsons here, maybe it's TJ Watt. Oftentimes, the pass rushers get a ton of the love, but when you got a guy intercepting the ball and house calling it at the rate of Deron Bland, there is no question this guy should not only be in the conversation, he should be the leader when it comes to D-point.
No, I tell you, the question with Bland was never about his ability to replace Diggs. To me, it was, what are you going to do at nickel? I felt like even at now, how many opportunities did he get last week in the game? He said post game, he's like, they only threw at me like 3 times. So he gets far less opportunities, which is huge when he's able to make these plays. He plays nickel. Generally, your best receivers go in the slot. Generally, the ball goes that direction. I'm going to tell you, I think he's an even better nickel player when you talk about him playing in the slot. I think he could be. We're seeing the level he could play at right now. I think he could be even better playing in the slot with how many times the ball finds that slot receiver. You could see a guy. And when he was able to get all those interceptions last year as a rookie, where was he playing? in the slot.
Yeah.
And so think about those opportunities. He's had far less times to play that. And if I'm Dan Quinn, I'm thinking about this. I'm going to try and break some tendencies here because I know some teams are going to study. We got Christy Scales coming. Let's talk about. I'll finish my thought about that.
I like that. That's a heck of a tease, heck of a cliffhanger. Let's go inside to AT&T Stadium and welcome in the best sideline reporter in the business, Christy Scales, on a Thanksgiving game day. Christy, how the heck are you?
Awesome. This is my favorite game of the year every year, Thanksgiving. And then yesterday was a special treat to come out and watch the final rehearsals before the halftime show for Salvation Army Red Kettle kickoff with Dolly Parton. So it's going to be an awesome halftime show and a really good game today. And I think that I know you guys have been talking Commanders ad nauseum already, but I'm kind of excited to see Sam Howell in person because last year I know we got to see his debut, but just it will be interesting to see how much growth that he's had, with the 11 games as a starter. So it's fun today.
Yes, absolutely going to be fantastic. What do we need to know from an inactive standpoint? I know the Cowboys going to be without Jaron Kearse today, which affects things defensively, but anything else we need to know from an inactive standpoint?
Well, the good news is that Rico Dowdle will be able to play, even though he wasn't practicing this week because of the ankle. So the fact they feel good about Dowdle being able to play, and the evidence of that is that Deuce Vaughn is inactive today. So they feel like Rico will be ready to serve as the backup to Tony Pollard. And then, of course, you have Hunter Lipke as well. The other inactives, other than Jaron Kearse, are the offensive linemen Awesome Richards, Vaughn, and then two of your young defensive backs, Eric Scott and Noah Igbenogany. Trey Lance is your emergency third quarterback. And then with the practice squad elevation of Sheldrick Redwine, now he's a guy that played a lot early in his career in Cleveland, and he's had a couple stops since then, including Miami. But you guys, like Bryan, I think that we had talked about him in preseason. We thought that he played really well in preseason, and he's going to be able to help a lot on special teams. And that's important today because with Jaron Kearse not playing, we may see more Wanye Thomas out there at safety. And so when someone who is a special teams core player like Thomas, if they're playing more on defense, then Wanye may sit a little bit of the special teams. He's still going to serve as the personal protector on punts and punt coverage because that's like the quarterback out there, the guy who serves as the personal protector. But we'll see Redwine take some of Thomas's reps on special teams, and then a veteran guy, they feel like he's more than capable to step in if they need him as part of the DB rotation on defense.
Christy, that's exactly what I was going to ask you, though, is if in fact that Wanye Thomas is having to play more defensive snaps. I mean, we've only seen one guy that I ever remember was Darren Woodson. Darren Woodson would play, it seemed like 1,000 plays during a game, all his defensive snaps and special teams and stuff like that.
Exactly. Moose Johnson is offended right now because Darryl played a lot of special teams as well.
Yeah.
So he had to clear all the holes for Emmett. And then, for safety. Yeah, you're exactly right. But he's so important as the personal protector that they want to keep him on coverage there. Exactly right. Exactly.
Got to play him there. Christy, is there any? Eric and I have been talking about the Commanders don't run the football, or they don't try to run the football. Has anybody during the week talked about maybe in a short week that they might see the Commanders when they have run, they've had some success? Has anybody bumped into you and said, "Hey, we're a little bit worried about Brian Robinson or this Commander team trying to run the ball at least on a short week"?
The word that I've heard this week is perimeter. But that can also include, they're good with the screens too. So that can include that as well. But, if you look at the game in Carolina, I wasn't real thrilled with the run defense up the middle, So, so that's going to be really interesting today. But that was one of the areas of focus that I kept hearing this week is perimeter.
Christy, will this be your first experience taking in a Dolly Parton show? I know you're a concert lady.
I am a concert lady, first full show, and then, of course, she did the awards there at the Star in Frisco. She co-hosted with Garth and then sang at the very end. But, yeah, if she's going to do 4 songs today, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders will be out on the field performing. She has that new Rockstar album, so she's going to do 2 of her big hits that we all know and love that have been popular for decades. And then she's going to do 2 rock songs from her Rockstar album, a couple of covers. And I promise it'll be great. We will carry it at halftime so everyone will get to hear it. But this is as excited that we've had. I mean, we had Jonas Brothers last year. We've had everyone from Destiny's Child to Reba McEntire, Kenny Chesney, Keith Urban, some great folks. But this is about as much excitement as I can remember to have Dolly Parton here. And the rehearsals went fabulous. So I can't wait to hear when there are 93,000 people singing along with her. I think it's going to be awesome.
Christy, you've done a lot of these halftime shows. Have you met and taken pictures with every single person you've ever come in contact with these halftime shows?
Absolutely. Actually, what I was really excited about, and now they're cool again thanks to the Texas Rangers, but the time that I got to interview Scott Stapp with Creed, I thought was very cool. And then Jonas Brothers have actually done it twice, but yeah, I would interview them every year. So back when it was Reba and then Randy Travis, Clint Black, Toby Keith, so that you would come out and we'd interview them for the pregame show, and Carrie Underwood, Jessica Simpson and Billy Gilman together. I mean, you name it. And it's really exciting. And what's fun about it, like Kelly Clarkson, a girl from Burleson, to see how excited they are to take part in it. And then when it's like Keith Urban and he's here on game day and his wife Nicole Kidman is on the sideline, yeah, to me, that's what's really awesome. So I will admit freely that I totally get starstruck. And I can't wait to see Dolly, because other than the ACMs at the Star in Frisco, this will be the only other time that I've gotten to hear her live.
I love it. Christy, before we let you go in about a minute or so, do you have anything with the Cowboys uniforms today, anything special?
Well, yeah, so they've got their throwbacks, of course. So the white helmets and the white pants with the blue stripes, and then the dark navy jerseys with the white shoulders. But what's really cool today, the NFL is honoring John Madden. So all players, both teams, all 6 teams playing today, there's a John Madden patch. It's a silhouette. It's going to be on each jersey. And then there are, along the sideline here, there are logos that say Thanksgiving and John Madden. And then the coin toss today, the heads is a silhouette of Madden. The tails is a turducken.
I love it. Christy, happy Thanksgiving. This is a fantastic day. We'll catch up with you next hour.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
There she goes, Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales here on the official pregame show of America's Team. Brought to you by Papa John's. It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. The Cowboys special from Papa John's, a large one-topping pizza for only $9.99. Order today. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. And we continue to get you set for kickoff here. Broaddus, I'm fired up. I know you are as well. You got that Duron Bland nugget that you need to give us. Let's do that on the other side as we continue to preview this matchup. Cowboys and Commanders on a Thanksgiving game day, live in Miller Lite West Plaza, AT&T Stadium. The roof will be closed today, but the doors are open. Stop by if you're making it out to the game. Let's hear from Coach McCarthy, Jerry Jones, and so much more, all coming up next right here on your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan.
Football season is here. Here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus. Brought to you by
AT&T, the official partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time. And by blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
Also brought to you by
Bill Nunnally, attorneys and counselors. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Jack Link's, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. And by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza.
Now here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
65 minutes to a Thanksgiving Cowboy kickoff, and the pregame party is underway here on the Dallas Cowboys radio network and the Miller Lite West Plaza of AT&T Stadium. Absolutely gorgeous here in Arlington. The doors to the stadium have opened. The fans are infiltrating. The gates are obviously open, and Miller Lite West Plaza maybe as packed as I've ever seen it, Broad. It's rocking and rolling here. Cowboys and Commanders. Cowboys on a 12-game home heater right now, looking to make it a baker's dozen, and they'll have a good opportunity versus the Commanders, dropping a big-time L to the Giants last week. Sam Howell, Dak Prescott, and Bryan Broaddus, you, sir, a former Cowboy scout and a Super Bowl champion. What is the first thing on your mind here for a game like this? Short week, division rival. They're off a big-time L here. What do the Cowboys have in front of them here over the course of 4 quarters?
Yeah, you're going to deal with a team today that has a lot of skill players, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think that many people give Terry McLaurin enough credit. Jahan Dotson is a wide receiver as well. They have some explosive players. They have a big tight end in Logan Thomas. How you deal with him today, Brian Robinson throwing the football to him in the flat or screens is pretty much money. He's one of those guys that's going to take the ball, get upfield. They're not probably going to run the ball. At least I don't think they're going to, even though with the short week, that would make a lot of sense. Probably the game plan for both teams is going to be pared way down. There's just so many things you could practice, and when you're doing walkthroughs, how many can you really work through all this? And so to me, I kind of feel like, though, that we'll see both teams trying to kind of fill each other out first, find 3 or 4 plays, 2 offensive plays as far as a couple of runs, maybe 3 or 4 pass plays, try and work those, get some repetition on them and see where you're at. If you have to open it up, that's the thing you worry about, though. If you get behind in this game and okay, our offense is a little bit limited to what we practiced, and so we're going to have to just do with the best we can with what we got right now.
Let's continue the preview here, brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. DaRon Bland has been on an absolute tear over the course of the entire season. He's your nickel corner last year as a rookie. He's a stud. Trayvon Diggs goes down early in this season. They move him to the boundary. He's been everything you hoped for and more. Interceptions, house calls. Interceptions, house calls. He should absolutely be in the conversation. Heck, he should be the leader for Defensive Player of the Year. But what do you think in terms of how the Cowboys use him? Because, Broaddus, he does have that versatility where he can play in the nickel and he can play on the boundary. What would you like to see maybe tweaking things defensively here involving DaRon Bland?
Yeah, I don't know this week, Eric, if you're going to play him in the slot. But what I think you can do, and this is going forward, and you'll have a week to get ready for Seattle, is you have to maybe break some tendencies by at least putting him. I'm not saying you have to travel with, because I don't know if Dan Quinn really wants to do that, but maybe what he could do in the coming weeks is put him in the slot just so teams can say, well, 100% of the time you're getting Jordan Lewis in the slot. No, I'm going to break that tendency. Because teams will say, listen, we'll just put our best guy inside and let him work off Jordan Lewis.
Right.
And then we won't do anything with DaRon Bland. At least if you show you're capable of putting him in the slot and letting him operate there, that keeps teams from automatically going out and saying, okay, we're going to take DaRon Bland out of this game completely.
right? And then just picking on Jordan Lewis, who's been a bit suspect at times for sure.
Exactly.
Having that ability. You put McQuamu in at the boundary if you kicked Bland inside.
Yeah, exactly. That means Jordan would come off the field right there. And maybe if you want to, you could sub if you want to keep Jordan in coverage. The Cowboys do play a ton of dime. They're one. I mean, everybody's like, oh, well, it's a nickel package. No, it's really a dime because those extra linebackers are safeties. So, that if you look at the way the personnel groupings are, Dallas is a big dime football team with the 6 defensive backs.
Inside the numbers we go, brought to you by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Better ingredients, better pizza. It is Papa John's. How about this, Broaddus? Washington has allowed a league-high 14 touchdowns from outside of the red zone.
Yeah.
Teams are getting big-time chunk plays ending in touchdowns versus this defense. They've traded away their best 2 pass rushers at the deadline. They're without their rookie corner, Emmanuel Forbes, today. Seems like a great opportunity for Dak in the passing game to really get some big plays through the air.
It does. And you mentioned it, they traded away the edge rushers with Sweat and Young now gone. That was a pretty formidable group that you had to deal with, that Jack Del Rio was able to 4-man rush, get guys home, and not have to commit anything to blitzing. But they don't get the pressure that they did. If you look at the first 4 weeks of the season before the trade deadline, 5 weeks before that, they were a pretty pressure team. Now it's kind of flipped because they don't have that edge pressure there. Their game now is about how to beat you inside. And so if the Cowboys have success on offense today, it's going to come because of Tyler Smith, Broaddus, and Martin. They are going to be able to navigate and take care of and secure those inside defensive tackles for the Commanders. Those 2 can wreck a game if you let that happen.
It's your official Cowboy pregame party here live from the Miller Lite West Plaza of AT&T Stadium as we continue to get you set for Cowboys and Commanders on this Thanksgiving game day. Let's go inside the AT&T Stadium. Christy Scales standing by with head coach Mike McCarthy for today's Coach's Corner. That's coming up next. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Fly to Philly, take off to Tampa, depart for Denver. Following your team on the road is more rewarding.
Fuel up with a big league selection of ice-cold beers, hard-to-find spirits, world-class wines, and gourmet snacks, all at Pee-wee-sized prices. Gear up for game day with 2 Texas originals, the Dallas Cowboys and Specs. The fun starts here.
Shout Specs, low priced amazing. Here's to you, shout cheers to savings.
We inch closer and closer to kickoff. Happy Thanksgiving live from the Miller Lite West Plaza of AT&T Stadium. All the good vibes here as Cowboys Nation has showed up in a huge, huge way. Broaddus, I got to be honest with you, I don't even think I've seen a ton of Commanders jerseys.
No.
I've seen it; they've been sprinkled in, but this is a Cowboy dominant crowd from our perspective here in the Miller Lite West Plaza. It's time to go inside of AT&T Stadium, where Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales is standing by with Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy for today's Coach's Corner.
Well, Mike, for all that's gone well with your team this year and the success that you've had, particularly with these home games at AT&T Stadium, there are a lot of blessings that we're thankful for on this holiday. As you reflect, what are you most grateful for?
Well, I mean, personally, I mean, it starts with my family. You know, obviously my upbringing with my parents and siblings, but, you know, most importantly, my children and my wife, and just all the things that the good Lord has blessed us with. Professionally, to be a Dallas Cowboy, I mean, this is just a great opportunity. You know, so thankful for the Jones family and our players and coaches and support staff and everybody involved to give us the opportunity to go out each and every week and win.
And these Thanksgiving Day games, you've done it on the road with the Packers and then, of course, here with the Cowboys. How big of an advantage of it is it really to always know that you're going to be the home team on the short Thanksgiving week?
Oh, I think it's definitely an advantage because, you know, I think it's like anything. If you're doing it every year, you know, there's a routine to this, and it's a challenge for obviously both teams on a short week. So, yeah, clearly being the home team is an advantage because, you know, it's a long year, longer than ever, as we know now with the 17 games. So when you get to this stretch here, you know, it's something that we spend a lot of time on as far as how we can best train our football team through this segment of games, and obviously, as you know, what we got going in December down the road too. So, but I would say it's an advantage for the home team.
In the long history that the Cowboys have had playing Thanksgiving Day at home since 1966, obviously Washington is a common opponent, but it's almost like there's a new chapter in the Cowboys-Washington history because they've turned things over to Sam Howell. And his first game last year, his start was at the end of the season against you guys. But this is the first time that the Cowboys fans are going to get to see him up close and in person. When you look at how much has he progressed since that start last year, it looks like they're moving the ball if they can just keep avoiding turnovers. He seems to really be able to move that team effectively.
Oh, definitely. No, he's a playmaker, and they're playing wide open with him. I think last year, obviously, his first start at the end of the year was a very productive day for them as a football team. So we've had a chance to revisit that, and but really focused on him this year in their new offense. Yeah, it's definitely challenging. It's a really big challenge for our perimeter, for as wide open as they're trying to attack, and it's important for our pass rush to get there.
And with your secondary, you're without Jaron Kearse today, and we know that you've elevated from the practice squad Sheldrick Redwine, who got a lot of time early in his career with Cleveland, and I'm sure he'll be a great asset on special teams. But tell fans about Sheldrick Redwine, because it'll be their first time to see him. Yeah,
Sheldrick's a heck of a football player, so I think just like anything with your younger players, when you watch them work every single day, you know, you do get excited for them when they have this opportunity. So he'll do an excellent job on special teams for us, and very instinctive, tough football player, well schooled. He's not a young guy by any means. So definitely an established player, you know, on our team.
One last question for you, and that is the NFL. This is the second year that they're using all 3 Thanksgiving Day games to honor the late, great John Madden. And, in fact, the coin today, the tail side is a turducken. So I think that's very classy and cool. It's so John Madden. But I'd love for you to share, if you would, your favorite John Madden story.
You know, a couple things. I think it's like anything when you have a chance to meet a legend like John Madden. You remember the first time, and I know I was a young coordinator in New Orleans and walked into production meeting with him and Pat Summerall. So that that was my first impression, and it's exactly how you think it would be. A former coach, very long, detailed, a lot of questions, specific questions. Still today, the most specific, detailed production meeting that I personally have been through, and then in my years as a head coach, I was fortunate enough to be on the John Madden coaches committee. So, and I've always enjoyed the conference calls and his opinions, and just such a high level of common sense and more so appreciation for the game of football, and was always had his focus on what's best for the game.
Well, happy Thanksgiving. It's going to be great. We got Dolly Parton at halftime. So you got a favorite Dolly Parton song, or 9 to 5, or
9 to 5. We'll go with 9 to 5.
There you go. I think you'll enjoy halftime then. That's Coach Mike McCarthy. As we continue counting down to Commanders and Cowboys, let's turn things back over to Eric and Bryan.
Thank you so much, Christy. Yes, it is a special day here at AT&T Stadium. Thanksgiving football, always wonderful. Dolly Parton. I'm seeing a lot of Dolly Parton Dallas Cowboys T-shirts that look pretty dang festive. I'm seeing the internet is telling me that the halftime show in Detroit, where Jack Harlow was the performer, was one of the worst halftime performances your eyes will ever see. So I look forward to watching that back, and appreciate him being the opener, if you will, for our Dallas Cowboys halftime show. That's going to be fantastic, and you'll be able to listen to it right here on the Dallas Cowboys radio network amidst the halftime analysis from Zach Walchuk and my guy Brian Broaddus. And Broaddus, could you go ahead and give us a little rundown on the referee crew today, a little zebra report?
Yeah, on your zebra report for the week, it's Bill Vinovich, and Bill Vinovich has a history of letting players play.
Oh, I like it.
But the fact of the matter is, this year's not the case for Bill Vinovich.
He's breaking tendencies.
He's breaking some tendencies here. He would be the 8th most when it comes to officials that administer penalties. Bill Vinovich is one of those guys, like you said, usually it is a 1 or 2 penalty game, but not in this case. Big on offensive holding, so everybody needs to worry about that along the offensive line, especially with the Commanders and what they're dealing with right now. Defensive pass interference, another big one. That's 13 particular. Unnecessary roughness, if the game gets a little chippy, that's going to be 7 that you're going to deal with. Illegal contact 4, and roughing the passer 4. So kind of if you're in that mode right now, you got to be alert, though, about him and those the offensive holdings and then the defensive pass interference. Those are huge. Those are those chunk plays. The offensive holding, of course, take you out of field position, maybe kill a drive with that. But Bill Vinovich is your guy this afternoon.
Love it, Billy V and company. That's fantastic. Now, John Madden's going to have his fingerprints all over this one today throughout the course of all of these Thanksgiving football games.
Yeah.
The Cowboys will have a John Madden decal over their heart, and it looks really, really sharp on the jersey there. The coin at the coin toss. I know you met John Madden at least a handful. Did you ever get on the bus, didn't you?
Oh, no. We were in 1996, we were on the All Madden team. We were the All Madden scouting staff in Green Bay. And so John Madden, they gave us these beautiful stitched Madden sweat tops that we got to wear. I got mine packed away somewhere, but
you better have it.
Yeah, it's really a beautifully stitched. And John Madden, got on the bus a bunch there in Green Bay. He drove us around. He did a bunch of games with us up there in Green Bay. He worked with Ron Wolf, my boss from the Packers, when they were together with the Oakland Raiders. So had a special relationship, our staff did, with him. Wonderful man. Everything about Thanksgiving. He loved Thanksgiving.
Heck yes.
He loves to eat. He loves the family. He loves being at the ball yard and all that. So you're absolutely right. The patch is beautiful.
It is.
That the players have got on their jerseys today. And yes, John Madden was such a big part of the growth of the National Football League. Tex Schramm was one of the originators, but John Madden carried this thing forward for everybody.
All right, let's get you to kick off as quickly as possible here on the official pregame show of America's team on the Dallas Cowboys radio network. We continue to get to know the enemy, and we'll go into the owner's box live from AT&T Stadium. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Bell Nunnally has been committed to serving their clients for more than 4 decades. This Dallas-based full-service
Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com.
Here's Eric Chiofalo and Bryan Broaddus.
Live here at AT&T Stadium, the Miller Lite West Plaza. It's the official pregame show of America's team on this Thanksgiving game day. It is great to have you in on the Dallas Cowboys radio network. Cowboys and Commanders will go into the owner's box with Stephen Jones coming up here shortly. But right now, let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves along the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
And now we go into the owner's box with Christy Scales and Stephen Jones.
Well, guys, on this holiday with Stephen Jones, I have to ask you about the tradition continuing 27 years now with the Salvation Army Red Kettle Kickoff. And I know you're so proud of your sister Charlotte. Landon, Dolly Parton.
Well, Thanksgiving's just an amazing game for us. And certainly it's a time where you're thankful, grateful for all the good things in your life, the people you're around. And Dolly Parton, in my mind, exudes that. And we got the kettles all glittered up for Dolly. To recognize that she likes to wear a little glitz and glamour, but just a special time for us. And as you said, Charlotte's done a great job over the years, being a great supporter and leader in the Army, her and mother, and just hats off to them. But it should be a fun halftime for our fans.
And just a fun game because the Washington team, it's a common opponent. This is the 11th time that you've played them on Thanksgiving Day, but sort of a new chapter because they got Sam Howell, who's putting up some good numbers as the quarterback, but you guys are shorthanded in the secondary with Jaron Kearse out with the back injury. So how do you make up for the loss of a key player like Jaron?
Well, Howell's playing really well, and he's got an offensive line in him that a good offensive line in front of him, but he's able to get back there and be a baller, and he makes plays. As far as our safety depth, Wanye Thomas stepped up for, early and often in the beginning of the season and got a lot of good play time and played really well. So we think he'll step right in for Jaron Kearse. Hopefully Kearse is just out this game, but feel like he'll go in and do what we need to do and what he did the first 3 or 4 games filling in for Dono.
And Stephen, on offense, I mean, Dak is putting up numbers that are commensurate with among the best in his career, but what do you want to see the offense continue to build on as you enter this really critical stretch?
Well, we can always get better, but the biggest, which we've been doing well, is execute. And he's getting the ball out. Obviously, he and CD are clicking really well, but he's getting it to the other weapons. It's great to see Schoonmaker get a big touchdown last week. But we've got other good receivers. Obviously, Cook's finding his way, and Tolbert's doing a good job, and Gallup had a big week. So, if they go out and execute, and then the bigger thing we also want to continue to do, tough against these guys because of these big tackles they have, but we obviously want to continue to improve in the running game.
I have to ask you one more Thanksgiving-related question, and that is, do you have a favorite Thanksgiving game memory? I don't know, Jason Garrett, that game. What stands out in your mind? Because there have been some great ones.
Because I think so much of Coach Garrett and what he did for us in his run here, not only as a player but as a coach. But obviously filling in for Troy that game and lighting it up against the Packers, that's hard to ever forget that one. And then bittersweet, of course, you never forget the Ice Bowl game. And Lincoln Coleman having a heck of a game, but one of our greatest defensive linemen ever, unfortunately, had a little miscue there at the end, and they got us. But anyway, this is a great stage. We'll have millions of people watching us today, and hopefully we'll go out and execute and play well and get a win for the Cowboys. Our fans deserve that. They've given us a great home field advantage, and I think we got one of the longest streaks now in the NFL, if not the, of home field wins. So appreciate our guys here.
Well, the Dolphins stole us that one from us in the 90s, so let's turn the tables and take it from them on Christmas Eve.
I like that. That'd be a good holiday payback.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen. That's the view from the owner's box as we continue counting down to kickoff. Let's rejoin Eric and Bryan.
Today's owner's box is brought to you by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. It is Papa John's, and now It's time to get to know the enemy. Brought to you by Arrow Exterminators, the official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Broaddus, how about this? Opposing quarterbacks have over a 100 passer rating against the Commanders, while they have also allowed 24 touchdown passes. They are the NFL's worst in both categories.
Yeah, that's, and a lot of it has to do with the lack of pass rush. Their corners, they've got some talented corners. St. Juice and those guys, they could defend the ball, but the problem that they run into is they're hung into some coverage long time because of the lack of some of the pass rush that they've been able to not generate.
And how about this? The Cowboys have converted almost 63% of their red zone possessions for touchdowns over their past 5 games. That's good for 7th in the league over that stretch, whereas prior to that, they were 28th in the league. We started the season going, what's the deal with the red zone? Over the course of the last 5 games, the Cowboys have gotten it figured out a little bit.
They have. They've done a much better job of that. I would expect today that maybe you'll see if they get down into that red zone area, maybe Dak pulling that ball and running a little bit more. There was an opportunity last week for him to pull and then get a touchdown, handed the ball to Pollard. It was probably a 3-yard gain. Dak, I think now is like, okay, I see what's going on here. I can pull this. We're getting that. We're getting people collapsing down on us. I could pull the ball and maybe get in the end zone here. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a rushing touchdown today.
What about on the other side? Does Sam Howell like to take off and run on you a little bit?
The thing with Sam Howell will do is he will run to avoid, and they give up a lot of pressure. And if he's in the pocket and he feels like, if you remember his first start last year, it was the very last game of the year.
Yeah.
There were a couple of runs where pocket broke down. He took off running, able to get some first downs. If he can find a way to manipulate and win with his legs, he will do that. He's not afraid to do that. He's a really, really tough guy with the ball in his hand.
Okay, cool. So it's not necessarily the design run there for Sam Howell, but he'll scramble and take off you.
There's some not so much run pass, but it's more of a, if they do run pass option, it's fake the run and then the tight end underneath. Like they'll drag Logan Thomas and then throw it in the flat. Kind of like what the Cowboys do. You fake the run, you have the option to pull it and run if you're the quarterback, or you can flip it to the tight end out there in the flat. So that's kind of a little bit of a triple option look.
And with no Jaron Kearse today, who's usually the tight end cover guy, Logan Thomas a bit of an X factor, huh?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here, but I am trying to say that a 6'6" tight end who can catch the ball very well in the red zone will be a problem if they get down there.
We're 30 minutes to kick off here in the Miller Lite West Plaza of AT&T Stadium, the official pregame party of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go inside the booth with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. Coming up next, you're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Every moment, every touchdown.
prices. Gear up for game day with 2 Texas originals, the Dallas Cowboys and Specs. The fun starts here.
Shout Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you. Shout cheers to savings.
Just over 20 minutes to a Thanksgiving Cowboy kickoff live here in the Miller Lite West Plaza of AT&T Stadium. Let's go inside the booth with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, brought to you by the WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Brad, happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm calling this one, we don't need the style points. I'm going just survive in advance, keep it moving. This is a take out the trash game. Just get it point A to point B, get the victory, and get out of here alive.
How does that differ from any other game?
Because sometimes I want style points, Brad. Call me crazy.
Well, you're crazy. Style points only count in college football. I understand that it feels good, but at the end of the year, they don't ask how, they ask how many. And if you win 17 games, 13-12, then you're 17-0. So I just don't think it means anything as long as they win. And especially because I think Washington is better than a lot of people think. We talked about this. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were done there. But I was going to ask you, on a short week, does anybody have an advantage of the two teams?
Dallas traveled. Washington, I think, played at home. That travel day doesn't help you. But it's a division game. Note the league made all 3 games today division games. Right. So they know each other pretty well. I think you have a big advantage if you're a better team. I mean, I know that sounds smug, but I don't think that at this point these coaching staffs have done this enough that they know how to do it. Plus now, Brian, everybody's playing on Thursday. So once upon a time when nobody else was playing on a Thursday and Dallas knew how to do it, that was one thing, but everybody does it now.
Well, and it seems like, Brad, and you've gotten to see plenty of coaches handle these short weeks their own sort of way, but it seems like Mike McCarthy's really dialed in on how to approach a week like this, having his team ready to rock and roll.
Eric, it sounds to me like he has come to a point over the last couple of years where he starts preparing for it in the summer. So when he lays out the practice schedule and whatever they didn't do this week, they probably did last week in terms of putting in some plays that, in fact, he said that this week. He said they put in some stuff last week that he knew they weren't going to use in Carolina, but they didn't have to work extra on it this week. So my impression is that I agree with you. I think that he kind of has as good a handle on it as anybody.
Brad, I think if the Cowboys are going to have success offensively today, it's going to be about the inside 3 for their, when you look at Broaddus, Martin, and Smith versus what the Commanders are going to throw at you with those 2 defensive tackles.
Yeah,
Am I on the right path there?
Yeah. There's no doubt that those 2 guys are behemoths. That's Godzilla and whatever the King Kong right next to each other. I don't know who's got 2 better ones. Every week they seem to run into somebody. Yes. The Eagles are pretty good inside. But these 2 guys just are ridiculous. But, those guys you just mentioned, Brian, they know it. They've been preparing for it, and so does the whole offense. So you have to make some adjustments.
Brad, what's your go-to Dolly song on karaoke night?
Jolene, I think.
Brad Sham, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate the time.
Anybody could say 9 to 5, right? Anybody could say 9 to 5.
Yeah, you went deep into the bag to pull out
way
Jolene
deep in the bag there.
I'm showing my age.
Yeah. Thank you, Brad. We love you.
Right,
Happy
boys.
Thanksgiving.
You too.
There he goes. Voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. And now we go on to the turf of AT&T Stadium. Let's get some keys to the game from the best sideline reporter in the business, Christy Scales, brought to you by Pollock Aurora, proud supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, Christy, no J-Ron Kirsch today. So how are the Cowboys handling the communication duties?
Well, there are 3 players on defense that wear the green dot radio helmets to take the calls. One is out there on the field at a time. Just one green helmet allowed, green dot So with Jaron Kearse inactive with a back injury, Marquise Bell gets green dot duties today. He'll actually be backup green dot duties to Malik Hooker and Damone Clark. So interesting, this will be the first time the young guy Bell has had to assume those duties. But starting off the game, and unless he comes out for injury or for defensive substitution, it'll be Hooker who relays most of those play calls. But he's been doing that a lot the past few weeks, even when Kearse has played. But certainly the logistics change when you have a key player and a key communicator and veteran leader like Jaron Kearse, who's inactive.
Christy, give me your best special team nugget going into this one.
Well, that Tress Way, the punter for Washington, one of the really good, solid veterans in the league, directional, but does a really good job of disguising that. So it's hard to set up on the blocks on your punt return with a guy like him because he does a good job of disguising it. So a bit of a challenge today with the punt return game.
Well, Christy, you're the best. Can't thank you enough for everything you did for us today. Appreciate you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and enjoy the game.
Sounds good. Can't wait to rejoin you for halftime for a little Dolly Parton. And, of course, it's Jolene for karaoke. How could it be anything other than Jolene? That's a no-brainer. Yes. And we will hear it today. I don't want to give anything away, but we will hear it.
There we go.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christy. Always bringing the best information. All right. Kickoff's around the corner here, Broaddus. It's prediction time. Give me Cowboys 33, Commanders 23. I think it might be a slow start, trying to figure things out, short week. You got the division rivalry situation going down. I do think there are some talented things about the Commanders, but when it's all said and done, I think the Cowboys win by double digits.
Man, this team's going to play a close game today. I got Cowboys 27-24, and I'm not saying it's a drive, Dak Prescott last drive thing. It might be ahead and then having to hang on at the end. These teams, like I say, both these teams have got a lot of skill guys.
Yes, they absolutely do. I'm expecting some offensive firepower, especially for the Cowboys. Yeah. Especially for the Cowboys, the Commanders can't really get after the quarterback. Dak having all day is a recipe for disaster if you're a defense. So there it is. We got the Cowboys getting the Thanksgiving victory and extending their home winning streak to 13 games. Thanks to everyone who's been hanging out with us on the official pregame show of America's team. Brad, Babe, and Christy got you the rest of the way. Kickoff around the corner. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Ho, ho, ho. Visiting from the North Pole, Santa has touched down.